Welcome back to the In the Know podcast. My name is Kayla from Kiss FM, and I am sitting with Steve Garvey.
How are you?
You are running for Senate.
Yes, I am.
So excited that you're sitting with me today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for your time.
So you were a baseball player. Mm-hmm. Everybody in California knows who this man is.
That's true.
You played for the Dodgers. You played for the Padres.
Yeah.
How do you make this switch from baseball to politics?
Well, I get that question, and I always say there's probably no better way to prepare for politics than to have played professional sports, because what it takes to reach the ultimate level is hard work, dedication, compassion, and God-given skills. It takes a lot of faith.
Yeah.
On the good days to say, Lord, please help me, and then to get up. Every day. I mean, not too many people get a chance to go to work with 30, 40,000 people who are judging you, especially if you're on the road. But the good days, you are wonderful. The bad days, the fans lift you up, and it teaches you how to get up and keep swinging. And a lot about what America's all about, right? It's not easy. Sometimes in our society, depending on the ebbs and flows of our country, the challenge is even greater. So I decided at this point in my life that this was a one-party state, that we needed another voice, a moderate voice, somebody, and we built our campaign on common sense and compassion and consensus building. And I've been known for that, building teams. And people said, oh, there's no way you can win. Hasn't been, conservative in the general in 35 years. What do you think about that? And I said, well, we're due. And my voice is due, and I'm willing to go out there and there's going to be tough days of being attacked, because that's the nature of politics now. But I think God wanted me to do this, and we're running a good race and fighting a good fight, and we're going to win. Don't ask me exactly how, because there's a disparity in registered voters between, obviously, Democrats and Republicans. But I always say I never took the field for Democrats, Republicans, Independents, but for all the fans. And now I'm running for all the people.
Okay. California loves you. Everybody loves you for many, many years. Well, what do you love the most about California?
Well, it's always been about the people. When I first came here in the 70s and 80s, it was the heartbeat of America. And it's not so much now. It's a little more of a murmur. People have been constricted by regulations and by the economy and crime in the streets. And they're looking for hope. And when somebody comes up to me and says, I don't know why we haven't done this before. There hasn't been anybody that we really felt we know, but we know you, and now we have hope. And that's a great honor to think that, it's the journey. And like I said, we will win. But more importantly, we need people to stand up and get involved. And when it's been a one-party state for so long, people will always say, and you can get up every day, look at California, and the weather's great. We got mountains and ocean. And you can say, oh, it'll change. But change happens when you and I make a difference and participate and vote.
Yeah. What do you think it is about you that gives people hope? What makes you different? And is it your morals? Is it your beliefs? Is it your personality? What do you think it is?
Well, I think it's like I said, for over 50 years, people seeing me and the one greatest skill, and that's playing baseball, and then taking that skill and the things I learned into the community, in growing a family, building businesses, working with charities, and seeing that I've been very consistent over the time. I'm like they said about Reagan, kind of a Teflon coating, but that Teflon coating really has been about the foundation of faith and family and this great country. So people know that I'll never lie to them, that I'll always be honest. Sometimes the truth is painful, but representing people would be the greatest honor of my life.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little about your personality? Because at least for Gen Zers and millennials, we look at politicians sometimes as inaccessible, unapproachable, and kind of scary sometimes. What is it about you that's going to be different? Are you funny? Are you approachable? Are you nice? Like, what is your personality like?
All of the above. And a guy with 5 daughters. I was an only child.
Okay.
And then, of course, I was with 25 guys every day, for 25 years with amateur sports. And 1 daughter, 2 daughters, 3 daughters, and so forth. So they made Dad understand what a world of woman is like to live in. Estrogen is a powerful force. But I learned that us guys are just here to serve and love my world. Finally, I had 2 sons, but just been very involved in and making a difference in people's lives. And I think it starts. That's why people ask, what's one of the first things you'll do when you're the next elected U.S. Senator? And I said, well, I'll do an audit on where all those billions, went that were supposed to help the homeless. But then I'd focus on education, our future leaders, get a better foundation. And in this world now, a lot of times our professors and teachers are more concerned about what to teach instead of, how to think. And I think it's still very important.
Yeah. Speaking of homeless, I know that's one of your passions.
Sure.
What are some effective solutions that you think that you would implement to help the homelessness crisis?
Well, most politicians first say, we have to find a place to live. Well, inevitably, that's part of the process. The most important thing is to take the drugs off the street. Probably 92% of homeless are affected with mental illness. And that mental illness comes from drugs, the constant steady flow of drugs and alcohol. So let's take that off the streets. Let's get back to having safety in the streets, getting them programs like in Los Angeles. The Dream Center is a phenomenal program that is a pathway for the homeless to eventually get to a job, to take care of themselves, and get dignity back in their hearts. And I think that's what we're striving for, is to get them off the streets and back to being feeling part of society.
Okay. Some political commentators have said that you have the older vote in the bag. But what about the younger voters? How can you appeal to them, the third party and the undecided?
Well, with 7 kids, you can imagine.
Yes.
each of you are different, right? Each of you are going through life and needing some good common sense from mom and dad who have lived 75 years, 65 with my wife. And the single greatest gift we have is our children. The single greatest challenge is to be able to guide them and to be able to love them and give them faith, so they have a foundation to be, leaders and get to that adult area. And it's never ending process, but it's a great joy to see all of our children, all of them different, contributing and being good Americans. Yeah.
Farmers are extremely important to our lives here in California. You want to support sustainable agriculture. How do you plan to do that?
Well, we have to get back to deregulation. I think the farmers are being constricted now by regulations. These are generational families, whether it's Central Valley or Imperial County or wherever in the state, Coachella Valley, where I live now. Single greatest agricultural area in the world. But it may be coming to an end because the young generation now is looking at the business of it and saying, I don't know how my parents did this. I don't know how our neighbors and my friends, because the regulation is strangling them, the restrictions on them. So I think we got to get back to deregulation, letting the farmers do what the farmers do best, and that's feeding California, America, and the world.
Okay. I want to talk about Proposition 3 because it's on our ballot, which would reaffirm the right to same-sex marriage into California Constitution. So what is your opinion on Proposition 3?
I believe in God's given us free will and choice, and to be able to control our destiny with our feelings. And I think, and I'm Catholic and Christian, and there are Catholics and Christians who decide to marry. And that may be outside the doctrine, but I think they have the right to choose, and I would support them.
Okay. We were talking earlier about how this has been a traditionally blue seat. What are some of the challenges that you have faced as a Republican running in this race so far?
Well, if people see me at the debates and so forth, I wear a lot of purple ties, which means that, again, I'm running for all the people. And I think it's they should understand that. They should know that by how I've lived my life, that when I make a decision, it's founded on as much information as I can attain, and what's good for all the people.
What will be like your first thing as soon as you get into office? What is the first thing that you're going to do for people?
Well, it's interesting, 2 things. Number one, I said I will go to all 99 senators and go to their office and stick out my hand and say, let's work together for the best interest of our states in this country and the world. And I think that people will, because of who I am and whether it's just an interest in what kind of guy he is, will decide at this crisis time in our country, where I'm more concerned about an implosion and a divisiveness that's hurting us, that let's get back together and work for the state. And I remember when President Reagan and Tip O'Neill, the Speaker of the House back then, were 180 degrees in philosophy, who would come together for the best interest of the country. Let's get back to that.
Okay. Well, speaking of who you are, let's get to know you a little bit more. When you are at your house on the weekends, chilling with your family, what are you guys usually doing?
Well, I've been reading articles most of the time.
Do you read articles about yourself?
No, well,
like, just to see what people are saying?
A policy article, deeper understanding of people's, it could be the New York Times, it could be Wall Street Journal, or whatever it is. I need a deeper understanding from people that have done this all their lives, who've gone to the Hoover Institute and spent time there with these great fellows, whether it's education, whether it's geopolitical, whether it's our economy, who are giving me a better understanding of a worldview on these things, and not just an individual right or left view, but what would be best for all people.
Okay, watch sports, watch movies with your kids on the weekends, something fun.
I'll peek at a Dodger Padre game or football season because I played football at Michigan State. We get into the football games. It's the donuts in the morning and watching Michigan State. My wife went to Alabama, watching that. All American kind of stuff.
I love that. Yeah. What is your favorite restaurant in California? Do you have one?
I think it's the French Laundry up in Yountville. My friend Thomas Keller is obviously a very famous chef. But give me a good diner.
I love diners too. Late night, yes.
And the Campaign Trail has In-N-Out burgers, And I've lost a couple of pounds on this campaign. I would have thought I'd gain more, but we're reaching California because it's important for me. People know who I am. Millions of people watch me, and now for me to, as we're doing, to talk to them about their lives, and what I can do to bring their voice back. Yeah.
Favorite song?
Let's see. It's tough to figure it out.
But what's your favorite genre of music?
Well,
do you listen to Kiss FM?
Oh, Frank Sinatra, My Way.
Okay,
well, people say, "What was your walk-up song?" In baseball, we didn't have walk-up songs back then, so I was kidding, say for Frank Sinatra, My Way. But I love chill on Sirius Radio and Big House, and we have the Coachella Film Festival out where we live, and I love to go out and listen to a wide variety of music. My wife's a country music, so we listen to that most of the time.
That's what your household is filled with, country music. Okay. Yeah. Lastly, how do you feel about celebrities endorsing candidates? Do you think it's important?
It's interesting. I respect, because celebrities are invested in their careers in entertainment. People don't think of sports as entertainment, but it is a subcategory. So there's a responsibility to the people, like in sports, to the Dodgers, say for instance, owned by Guggenheim. If they want to support me, that's wonderful. But they also are playing the game to entertain people of all walks of life, Democrats, Republicans, Independent. So I can see that. But I've had, a lot of my former teammates and players I played against say that Garvey, we're going to vote for you. And I said, that's the most important thing.
Your team got your back.
That's right. And we have T-shirts, now that have a Garvey running for Senate front, and it's got the 6, which was my number, and it says "Got Your Back" on there, which is a military.
I love that. Right? I didn't even know. That's so funny.
Go to stevegarvey.com. We have a merchandising site there.
Nice.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, before I let you go, any last thing you want to say to the people and where they can find your policies?
Well, go to stevegarvey.com. And I think we have, that's one of the things I wanted was a very, very educational, deep policy website that will give people a better understanding of our policies. It's tough to do in 3 or 4 minutes sometimes. You just basically address the issue. But they can go there, and then if they'd like to donate, that would be great. But more importantly, it's study the issues, look at the candidates, and when the time comes, make a decision based on who you think is going to have the best interests of their family and of this country. And when it's all said and done, I hope I'm back in the U.S. Senate next January and fighting for the people. Yeah.
Don't forget to register to vote.
Please.
Steve Garvey, thank you so much for sitting with me.
Great job.
It was so nice meeting you.
Thank you.